All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday afternoon webinar. My name is Sean Taggart. I am the Product Marketing Manager here at Freestyle Solutions. Today we're going to be going into the Day in the Life series. We're going to actually be going into the Day in the Life of a Customer Service Representative, a CSI for short, learning and understanding the M.O.M system. So, just a few quick things to point out here as we are going along today for today's webinar. It is recording, so if you join or have to drop off early, you join later. If anyone in your company needs to see this for whatever reason, we'll be having this recorded and available 24 hours after today's webinar. A couple other things to note here as well. We have the questions bar here. As you can see here, please make yourself active. Ask questions, answer questions, anything that you want to know about the customer service functionality tools here within Freestyle's Multi-Channel Order Manager, M.O.M for short. We can share that with you. Just make sure you answer and type in your questions here. Also, make sure you download your feature sheet, which goes and shows you all the information and all the data about what's in the Multi-Channel Order Manager, M.O.M, and then also be able to download this presentation here for you. We made it a PDF for you to view. So who's going to be walking you through this today? I already said my name. I am Sean Taggart. I'm the Product Marketing Manager here at Freestyle Solutions. Prior to me being the Product Marketing Manager, I was over in the support and implementation side. So I've been working on that for the past year and a half, and I'm also going to introduce my colleague on the call today, our Director of Product Management, Ian Oano. Ian?
Hi, thanks, Sean. So I've been with the company about 12 years, started in support and implementation, similar to Sean, led those teams, and now currently leading the product team and helping design and put out new features for the M.O.M product suite.
Thanks, Ian, and welcome to today's call as well. We're going to go into a quick overview of the company itself. Freestyle Solutions as a company was formerly known as Datacomp. It was a company started by retailers for retailers. This was started by two brothers in the music industry, specifically selling sheet music. They decided to make an application that would help them focus on and get information and to track their inventory and orders based on the sheet music that they were selling. So with that being said, being around since the mid-'80s, we as a company have been around for over 30 years, and we helped invent that inventory and order management category back in 1985. And we are trusted by over 2,000 live customers, which includes some of these logos that you see here. Some of them may be recognizable, like 1-800-Flowers, Tabasco, Utz Potato Chips, which is a company out in Pennsylvania, New Jersey Devils for those hockey fans out there, Rachel Roy for anyone who's a fashionista. Whatever the case may be, we do have and we do handle many different verticals within our software. So today's agenda is quite simple. We'll give you a brief introduction to M.O.M. We'll talk about the customer service functions within M.O.M in terms of creating orders, making changes to orders, and managing customers today. We'll go over and give you what you've learned, the overview and review of everything, but also we'll answer your questions. You don't have to wait till the end to get your questions answered. We'll answer them as we go along during today's webinar. So let's get a brief introduction to M.O.M. Hope everyone out there did enjoy their Mother's Day with their mothers or with their children, whatever you were doing that day. But M.O.M itself, very impactful person in your life. It's our flagship on-premise or now hosted solution. It specializes in managing orders, customers, and inventory across your different e-commerce channels. It has the largest feature set in order management from over 30 years experience, like I mentioned before. And then it does have a broad range of direct integrations or APIs. So here is a little diagram that we have here that goes over and shows you pretty much all the different things that M.O.M can connect to. Today we're really going to be focusing on some of the core stuff within order and customer management. But as you can see here, there's a lot of stuff here that M.O.M can do in terms of your shipping, financial, and reporting, all the way to handling and connecting various shopping carts and e-commerce platforms via the different connectors or your API connection. We do also here have your site link e-commerce cart, which is our own commerce cart, and then a flat file import. So there's different ways to see how M.O.M works and how M.O.M manages with different aspects of the business, but we'll be focused in on the order and customer management today and the core functionality, which I'm just going to really quickly circle around here. So we're going to go into it right now, and if you guys do have any questions, feel free to ask. We'll be happy to answer them for you. So, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about creating orders in M.O.M in terms of, going ahead and creating a quote for a customer that, just wants to know how much everything will be before making the final decision and placing that order. Creating an order within M.O.M, so there's two ways that we can do it, and we'll talk about that here, either adding items without customer information or looking up the customer before adding the items. You got the item lookup showing different ways to look up an item, one of them being the advanced search capabilities. We do also offer the ability to do cross-sell and upsell, so if someone's buying a certain thing like a tent, for example, within that tent we would have the ability to go ahead here and really have them, do you want the sleeping bag or do you need this accessory to go along with it? We'll talk about order promotions. We'll talk about how to look up shipping and adjusting shipping and apply the payment to the order. So what we're going to do is Ian's actually going to go in and give you a brief introduction and a brief idea of what the M.O.M system looks like and how that can handle it. We're going to take a quick 15-second break to pause for questions. And when we come back from this quick little break, Ian will go ahead and show you how to do all these things in M.O.M. We may, bounce off ideas with one another, but that's what we do best. So we'll be right back in 15 seconds. Ask your questions now. Hey, we're back here, and I'm going to give the controls over to Ian, and Ian's actually going to go ahead here and start showing you some of the things that we just mentioned in the slide before within M.O.M itself. So Ian, I'm going to go ahead now and give it to you. And take it away.
So here we see the M.O.M system. Typically, like Sean said, when the client will call in and CSR needs to handle it right away, they might ask for a quote. We do have that feature within M.O.M, so you can see here we have a quote here. Let me just adjust my screen here. So we do have an option here to enter a quote. Now, at that point, when you choose that, to open up the order screen, and then as a CSR, you can start capturing information what the client wants a quote for. So again, you can look for a particular item. So within our system, you can actually do a lookup here. So you can hit and enter a value, and you can hit enter and leave it blank, and you have all your stock items. But if you only wanted to see products that start with a big letter A, you can obviously do that and add that to the order. So in this case, we can give them a quote because this client wants a particular tent, for example. We can give them a one-person tent, and we can add that to the order. And you can see it comes in as a quote. Now, in order to get the order total to highlight, we need to make sure we know how we're going to ship it to the client. But before we do that, we need to collect some information telling who the client is. So we can select the bill to here. So in this case, I'm going to look up myself in the system. and it's added to the order. And you can see once I added the address information to the order total highlights. Now I can enter the shipping information I want. And here you can see some of the comparative shipping that M.O.M does have available. I have not set up mine, so you can see has no value, but if you actually set this up, you'll have some comparative shipping that comes up. And then the shipping calculation would then be calculated here. You also have the ability to override it, and if you actually override it, you can see that there's an indicator that tells you that it's been overwritten here by an asterisk. So once you have added the product and shipping, now you're able to relay this information back to the client saying, hey, your quote is going to be $254.95, and you can take it from there. Now at this point you can save it, and it will give you an option to save it as a quote here, and you can hit OK, and you can come back to that when the client is ready to turn that order into a quote. So one of the cool things that we added in M.O.M 10 is recent orders. So if that client called back, we can actually see the last order that we actually looked at on the system. So if we go to orders, I can hit select that, and it actually brings me back to the order I was working on. Again, this is very helpful when during the busy season as a CSR, juggling multiple responsibilities, from taking phone orders to entering orders manually to importing orders from the web or downloading orders from the web. So it's a nice little tool that we added to allow you to kind of help organize or help you kind of remember orders that you've been working on. So when the time is ready, you can actually hit this quote, and you can actually just turn this quote into an order, and you can then have an option to keep the original quoted prices, or you can actually have it readjust to the current price of the products. So you have that option. So once you hit OK, you can see here it will actually turn this into an order. So you can see it's not a quote anymore, it's an actual real order that's ready to pick, and this would then go process through your pick, pack, ship to your warehouse, and then ship that to your client. So next thing we want to do is, again, we showed you the quotation similar to adding the product first, but typically a lot of CSR will look up an existing client first. Before they actually place the order, they want to see if they exist first. So you have our customer lookup screen here that allows you to do that. So you can look up by last name or any of the other fields that are white here, or you can do a combination of both. So you can do a zip code and a last name, and then that would help narrow down the search for you. So you can see it gives me an exact match. So it's very useful when you have a common last name or common name to input more of the search field so that you get a more exact match instead of scrolling to multiple records and finding the exact one. So once you find the record that you want to work with, you can see that the customer record comes up. You can quickly identify who the client is, what type of clients they are, if they have any special attributes, fraudulent specifically, or how many orders they've taken in our system. So you can address the client appropriately. In this case, my client is a VIP client. So again, as a CSR, it's very helpful for me, so now I know how to treat the client accordingly. So once I'm ready, I can hit new order here, and then I can then add the products I want. So again, I showed you that we could do multiple things over here. As far as you can start with the letter A, you can do a partial lookup. It gives you all the possible matches right here. You can also do our F2, which allows you to do a lookup in the system. So we have what we call advanced lookup, which you can collect different criteria on your product, let's brand, year, or make, or model. You can put that information in, and it gives you all the matches for those. That way it makes it easier for your CSR. So if a client is looking for a, let's say that I set this up as a car, a Honda 2015, model is a Civic or something like that, I can hit that and I can find all the SKUs that's available for that. If that doesn't work for me, I can also have a setting within my preference to do a full lookup where I can enter the value, similar to what I showed you in the quote, but I didn't show you this where you can actually choose different lookup on. So I was looking up on stock number, but obviously you can look up by description, pricing, UPC code, description 2, number of units available. So there's many ways to look up a product. So in this case, I'm going to go back to our tent product again. This time I'm going to pick the Galaxy 2, which is a 2-person tent. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to add that to the order. And what you see coming up now is what we call our selling tools. You can actually do cross-sells and upsells within the M.O.M system. So you can actually check off the ones that actually applies to the order. So as a CSR, it makes it really easy for me to do these things on the fly. So you can see down here, I have a script I can actually follow. So if I was selling this person a 2-person tent, I can ask him, hey, how long is the trip that you're taking? You have other friends coming with you, and if they say yes to any of those, then you might want to be offered to a 3-person tent instead of the 2, so then you have an upsell. Same thing with a cross sell, so they might need an extra sleeping bag. So offer a sleeping bag to the tent. So again, it makes it easier. So I can simply click and pick and choose what I want to add, and once I close that cross sell and upsell, that particular item is automatically added to the system. To the order. So also what we have here is promotions. If I wanted to, I can actually type in a source key or coupon code, and if it's a first-time customer, it would then apply a promo. In this case, it's a get a free item, but it's restricted right now for the system. But you would actually apply a promo, and it would automatically apply it to the order. So we have multiple promos, and we also have you can also apply multiple promotions in an order. So here I showed you guys the comparative, but what you can actually do here is if you are not familiar with your shipping methods yet, you can actually type in one letter and it gives you the possible matches. Or you can go into our F2 button that gives you the whole lookup of all the shipping methods that you have in the system. After you choose a shipping method, let's say go with UP2. It gives me a warning here that I'm trying to use a shipping method that is residential. Residential, please select residential. So this shipping method is a commercial method. So we have checks and balances within our system to do that, and that's triggered with this checkbox here within the customer record. So let me just, after you've chosen your shipping method here, you can then choose your payment method. That could be credit card, that could be credit invoice, check. You can do a combination of the credit card and invoice via our multi-pay or gift card. Once you have the orders and has a payment, you can save this, and this order will be ready to go to the pick, pack, and fulfillment stage of our process. So that's creating order within the M.O.M 10 system. So Sean, I'm gonna bring it back to you, and then we can have answer some questions if there are any on creating orders within the M.O.M 10 system.
Sure, thanks, Ian. And like Ian said, we will pause for a quick 15 seconds here, 15 to 30 seconds to have you guys go ahead and ask us any questions. We will be right back with more. Once again, feel free to ask anything, guys. I'm more than happy to answer. If it's not anything related to what you're seeing so far here within today's demonstration, feel free to ask us about whatever you want to know within M.O.M itself. And we're going to move on to our next topic here, which is managing orders within M.O.M 10. So we're going to talk about how to follow up if a customer calls in and asks about information regarding the tracking information. customer requests account balance information, looking up when a customer ordered a particular product, so getting into there and viewing their history of when they actually went in and placed an order and did certain things within the system. Order return and exchange we'll be talking about. We'll also talk about some key things here like order notes, some recent orders. So we talked about it a little bit in the beginning of this webinar. Ian showed you the recent order when he was talking about creating a quote. So we already mentioned that, and also adding attachments to specific orders here. So once again, what we're going to do here is we're going to take a quick 15-second pause here. That way you can go ahead and ask us anything that you need to know, or if you want to know anything about M.O.M, if you want to know anything about us, what we're doing this weekend, or anything along those lines, just asking the questions. Byron will be more than happy to answer, but we'll be right back with more. All right, we're now back here. I'm going to give the information back over to Ian, and Ian's going to go into the next set of information that we were talking about here. Once again, if you guys do have any questions, feel free to ask us here. But Ian, take it away.
So typically in a situation, the CSR will have calls from the client to follow up, requesting for some shipping information or order information. So within the customer record here, you can actually see all the order history for a particular client. Also within here, you actually can do a filter. So if it's a return client or you have a B2B client where they have a lot of orders, you can actually filter through a lot of these tabs. So if it was a particular order with a specific product, we can narrow that down fairly quickly. So we can do a filter here. But in most cases, the most common calls that we get from as a CSR is just the follow-up on the order, what the status is. So you can quickly find the order here. You can open it up, and you can then share that information back to the end client, saying, "Hey, your order is still in the picking process." If they were following up on tracking information, they can quickly see on the label here. We can hit View Edit, and the tracking number would be populated on the View Edit box, which is right over here. You can also, if you set up the shipping method correct appropriately, you can have a track package which actually sends the CSR to the UPS or FedEx or USPS page to actually give you the up-to-date update to the package, if it's being shipped, it's being delivered and such. So another thing we see commonly on follow-ups are account balances for information. So within the customer tab, we do have balances, so you can quickly see how much this outstanding for this particular client, and you can produce a statement at that point, or you can record a payment. So once you pass that information back to the client, you can actually then convey how much they owe. If they want to check on what their terms are, you can do it right here as well. So you also can set the credit limit and then their order preferences as far as payment method goes. We also have order notes that you can take advantage of, so that if I was following up on an order and there was a specific note on an order, we can actually review that. We didn't do this on this particular order, but you can see under instructions and notes, we have order notes that we can add to it, and it's timestamp and who actually put that note, so that way if there was a follow-up, we can know exactly what happened. Within each order, we can actually do a return right here. That's what we call a simple return, but you can actually do a full-blown RMA if you'd like. So we can actually produce an RMA, give that to the client, they have them shipped it back to us with a return label, and then we process it through our warehouse. And finally, within the order, if you have special verticals in pharmaceuticals or firearms, you can actually attach a particular document, specifically a license or prescriptions, to the order, so that way you can refer to it fairly quickly if needed. So that's high level on how we manage orders within the M.O.M 10 system. So Sean, I'm going to give it back to you, see if we have any more questions on that section.
Sure, and let me just go over here. I believe we do have a question, and the question came from Stephanie Johnson. Stephanie asked, is there a way for an admin or management to see what users have been in certain orders? I'm having the issue of my reps assisting customers but not putting notes in. Customer calls back and the next rep is lost.
Let me just read that question again, Sean. Give me a second here.
Sure.
Yeah, so for that, we actually have an audit report that we can run, so we can see which reps have been touching which order. So within each rep setup, there's actually a audit report that we can run. So if they were changing anything on the order or they did anything in the order, we can track that information. Let me just get to the. So here it's audit tracking, because this particular user is not set up as audit tracking, but there would be an audit tracking report. So as an admin, you can actually run this report and then find out what they're doing on a particular order, changing pricing, changing shipping, pricing, deleting items, and things like that. So we do have reports that track that information.
Thank you for the question, Stephanie. If there are any other questions that you guys do have, feel free to ask. But we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to take another 15 to 30 seconds to pause for some more questions, and we will be right back. All right, and we are back here, and we're going to continue on with the slide deck before we give it back to Ian to show a little bit more. Next, we're going to talk about managing customers. So within that, we're going to talk about managing customers' expectations and appeasements. We're going to talk about the customer type codes, customer comments, and also contact history as well. Another thing we can do is we can also view customers' activity, so you can see what they've done in terms of, placing an order, buying something from you guys. We can also manage customer communication. How do we store the extra customer information like contact information and so forth, and then also show recent customers, which is right above the recent orders grid that we showed a little bit before. And then obviously adding attachments to customer profile. But with that being said, we are going to take our last question break before we finish up here. So we'll be back in 15 seconds, and then Ian will go ahead here and show you everything that you need to know. All right, so we are going to give Ian his last run through for the final section that we're going to talk about within this webinar today about managing customers in M.O.M. So I'm going to give this controls back over to Ian, and he's going to go ahead and show you everything that you need to see. Ian, take it away.
Thanks, Sean. So going back to the customer record, you can see. So I wanted to cover the customer type codes. It's very useful for reporting, but specifically on the expectation and appeasement, because you can actually use the type codes to be qualifiers on our promotions. So we have 3-tier promotions within M.O.M. We have the order level, then we have the item level, and obviously we have the customer level. But then some of those promotions can be triggered based on type codes. So if you want to reward certain types of customers, maybe distributors or your wholesalers, give them a little bit break on the pricing, you can do that based on their type codes. Also over here, again, I mentioned this on our initial call as a CSR, you have comments here that you can use to quickly identify who they're speaking with, or instructions on how to handle this type of client. So if it's a distributor, they might have a special business process that they need to follow through, or it's a special vendor, they expect certain things. So you can put some of those information here. That way the CSR can properly handle it. Now these are quick keys that the CSR can tee off and then adjust accordingly to handle the call. But we also have what we call contact history. So as you have a conversation with this customer, you can log that conversation and the contact history under phone contact. Now you can type in, the conversation or paste the email that was happening. That way, if a CSR happens to be out for a particular day, another CSR has to pick up where they left off. It's very easy to come up here and pretty much open the last call and read the notes. So on the last note, they had a return conversation. So this client might have attempted to return something. So it's very easy to kind of pick up where you left off. Again, within the screen, you can also have scripts. So depending on what kind of scripts you want to give your CSRs, if it's a return conversation, enhancements, or a product defect, you can actually log all those scripts here. You also have interest levels where you can have goes from 0 to 9, and you can have a specific reason for each one, what they mean. So if 1 might be returns, 2 might be item pricing and things like that. That way, at the end of the month or week, however often you want to run a report, you can see how many conversations, what type of conversation actually occurred on the call center side. So very useful in the telemarketing side. On the general tab, again, this tab is typically defaulted to this. The customer, when you open up a customer first, it defaults to general, but you do have a user preference that controls that. So depending on your vertical, you might want to open in the order tab or the contact history. So you want to find out exactly what's been going on right away with this particular client. Again, it's a option that you can toggle to pick and choose which tab you want to open to. But back to the general tab, you can see we have a view activity here. This is a nice glimpse on what's been happening recently to this particular client. You can see that Sean had entered an order recently for this particular client. Last time we sent him a catalog was September last year, and his particular record has been validated. The address has been valid on April of this year. So, and it tells you when that particular address expires. So it needs to make sure that we're shipping to a good address. But again, it's a nice snapshot of what's been going with the client. Also, we have, you can see we have a main phone number, and we also have a main email, but you are not restricted by just one of those. You can actually add as much as you'd like, so you can add more phone. So you can see as you add here, you have different phone, alt, fax, home business, mobile, or pager. You also have additional emails if you want to add additional emails. So you can tie your personal email, business, other, or electronic billing. That way, if you want to go paperless, we can also send the invoice to that particular email address that you've listed on that as electronic billing. Similar to what I showed you guys with recent orders, we also have recent customers. Again, very helpful for during the busy season to work with your customers and pick and choose and remember which customers you've been working on. And similar to orders as well, we can also attach the licenses or prescriptions within the customer level as instead of the order. That way, if it applies to all the orders, you can attach it on the customer level. That way, you don't have to do that on every single order. And we do have notices that you can set up with M.O.M. So you can go to new contact, you can actually send a notice here, and those notices can be from, FTC notice, it could be credit card denied notice, it could be just be a particular notice based on the product, it could be a shipping confirmation notice, but you can send it from right here, so mom can actually reach out to your customer and let him know what's going on with the order, or you can have an order confirmation or shipping confirmation letting him know. And once you do that ahead of time, that actually saves your CSR time, because now you're proactively sending the information to your end client, then there's no need to follow up with the tracking information and things like that. So it's very helpful to send notice, specifically shipping confirmation from within our system. And that's very nice because we do integrate with UPS, FedEx, and USPS directly. So we generate that tracking number on the fly as you print the label, and that's stored in the system. So once everything is shipped, a notice is then fired out to the client, letting them know what the shipping information is, including the tracking number that's sent as a link, so all they have to do is click on that link, and that would take them to the UPS or FedEx site and letting them know where the package are. So very helpful on the CSR side, because it saves us time from kind of handling those common calls that we get on our side. But that's managing customers in M.O.M 10. Sean, I'm going to give it back to you, and we can pause for questions, and then we can address them if we have any.
All right, and thanks once again, Ian, for that. We are going to take a quick break here for our final question pause of the webinar. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to ask. We're more than happy to answer, but we'll be right back in about 15 to 30. All right, so, we're here near the end, so let's wrap everything up. So today we discussed, obviously, the following 3 topics: creating orders within M.O.M 10, so creating orders with and without customer information, creating a quote, and then we talked about the order entry process from beginning to end. When it came to managing orders in M.O.M, we did any type of follow-up, so the customer calls and wants to know the status of their order, the tracking number, where to go ahead and follow up that information. We talked about returns and exchanges, and we also talked about looking up customer orders. Finally, we manage customers within M.O.M 10. We talked about expectations and appeasements, review the customer activity, and we manage the communication with the customers. But, like I said, there was a lot that we did cover today, and there's a lot that, to go into a little bit more within M.O.M. So with that being said, we do want to take the time out and thank you guys here for joining us today and taking the time out. Ian and I do appreciate the questions and the feedback that we got here today during today's webinar. If you do have any questions, you can reach me directly at Sean, S-H-A-W-N, Taggart, T-A-G-G-A-R-T, at freestylesolutions.com, or reach me directly at 800-858-3666, extension 239. You can email marketing@freestylesolutions.com for anything else that you need to know. But we do want to thank you for joining us today. Make sure you do download the 2 handouts of the feature sheet, as well as the presentation for today. I hope you enjoy your nice long weekend, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.